Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. I'm your host, Taylor Gonzalez, and today I have a fellow podcaster, one of my favorite podcasts. I've been listening for, I think, like 6 years now, nowhere near as much as David, my boyfriend, who's been, let me just tell you this, I wrote it down. He's been listening since 2012 when you were on a podcast called Answer Me This.
Yeah,
The host of The Allusionist, Helen Zaltzman, is here. Helen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing tremendously well. Thank you, Taylor. What a lovely introduction. How flattering to be part of your and your boyfriend's interior landscapes for such a long time.
It's so fun. I just love your podcast. It's so not only informative, but it's just very fun. And I don't know, just listening to it puts a smile on my face. So I just am so glad to
Ah,
get to do this with you.
well, thank you for my praise. I loved it. No, I'm delighted. That's the best thing about podcasts, really, is like cheering people up and taking their minds off whatever terrible stuff might be happening,
Mhm.
just temporarily. I'm not saying it cures things, but it's just like a little salve.
No, I agree. I agree. And I
Yeah.
actually, I don't know if you can see it. It's very tiny, but I have your pin on
Oh
to
my God.
celebrate.
Did you come to one of the shows?
Yes, we did your last two LA shows, and they're so much
Oh,
fun.
thank you. Those were great. That theater, I gather, is not there anymore, the bootleg,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
I
sad.
think. And what was great about it as well is the green room was lined in fake grass, so it was really green.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I didn't know it was
Yeah.
gone. That's a bummer.
I think maybe it was a COVID casualty. Anyway, it was really nice for you to come. I loved those. I loved those shows.
Yeah,
And I
those
love that you
shoes.
have a pin.
Yeah, I have two pins and a tote bag.
Wow, I should send you, what have I got? I've got tea towels. I could send you a tea towel.
Ooh, fancy.
Um, Yeah, but also convenient because unlike t-shirts, they come in one size,
Oh yeah, perfect, perfect.
and you
Very
could
true.
always pin it on yourself like a t-shirt.
Very true. Or use it to keep June warm. We were just talking about my puppy June.
Yes, a perfect kind of cape
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
smallish dog.
very true.
Tea
Very
towels, what can't
multi-use.
they do?
Oh my gosh. Well, you just got back from your UK tour. How
Yes.
was that for you?
It was very fun actually. We hadn't toured in the UK before. We'd performed once a year in London for several years, and in 2018 we did three shows in other parts of the UK and Ireland, but that we haven't done it since, and I'm not sure why. Because it meant we got to go around and see a lot of friends and family that we haven't seen in a really long time, and hang out with their pets and their children, and that was a really good time. And I wouldn't say touring is the most financially prudent move, but it's like, a work excuse to go and catch up with people and to have a
Yeah,
little road trip around the small island nation that I grew up in and didn't see that much of.
very true. Yeah, you've traveled a lot for tours, and I was wondering what is one of the main things you notice as far as the audience, like the differences?
Mm.
And the before you answer, I think I might know, and I wonder if it's humor. Is it like some audiences react to some jokes, and then in other places where the humor is different, it might not land the same?
Yeah, I think there's certainly a little bit of converting the shows to different audiences and translating some
Hmm.
forms of English into the other forms of English. But I have mostly only performed in front of audiences in places where English is a dominant language, and so I can't truly compare because I know comedians who've gigged in English in like Norway or Germany, and the timing is different because even though people there speak excellent English, there's still like a little bit of a filter before the joke hits the brain because it has to kind of be translated through a couple of layers, not just what the word means, but what the joke might mean. So I haven't had that challenge, but and also I'm lucky in that the people who come to see me are already quite up for it because they listen to the podcast. They're not people who think I'm going to go to a comedy night. Amuse me. My audiences are generous, but I will say US audiences are the best at. Let's not say that US audiences are prone at externalizing amusement, and so you get a lot of that feedback in the room because a silent laugh doesn't sound like enjoyment, and And also, the new show that I've been touring, Souvenirs, has a large audience participation element for two people. I for one, am very afraid of audience participation, and would never would never volunteer for it myself. And the first two times I did the show was at US audio conferences, and I said I need two volunteers, and immediately people were like, me. And in Britain, people are like, someone else has got to do it, someone else.
I think that would be me. I am very, it's so weird because, I do YouTube, I interview people all the time, but in real life, I'm very shy. Sometimes I will even
Yes.
be at the same event as someone that I literally just spent an hour doing Zoom with, and I get nervous to, even though we already know each other, to say hello or to, and like you said, with audience participation, I don't know that I would ever be one of the
No.
first people to put my hand up.
No, or the last, I would be burrowing through the floor with my fingers to get away from it. I don't know what it is. Okay, I have some theories, Taylor. Maybe they will work for you or not. Partly it is when we do what we do, there's a particular boundary that happens when you're interviewing people, right? You both know what is supposed to be going on, and the performance of ourselves is understood and formalized or whatever. And I think I've always been uncomfortable with performance outside of strictly boundaried performance situations. So that kind of interactive theatre like Sleep No More, where you're part of it. I'm like, absolutely not. I want the performers over there, and I want me here, and I want there to be a safe trench in between that we do not cross. And it's like I can't do karaoke either, really, because of the social performance element. I don't want to perform in front of people that are my friends, unless they have decided to pay to come and see one of my shows, I guess. I don't know. Is that anything that you have ever felt?
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I feel like with interviews, I feel like I'm prepared and I know what I'm doing, hopefully. But then when it comes to real life situations, I don't know. I don't like being in front of crowds. I don't like public speaking. But like if I'm
Ah.
doing a live stream and there's 100 people, I'm fine. So it's like I don't. It's very interesting. And as far as karaoke, no, thank you. Unless I've had a couple vodka pineapples, then I might do some Nicki Minaj. But
Oh, which one?
oh gosh, Anaconda.
Very nice. Oh,
Is
I
it
hope
though?
one day
It's
to
very
see
hard
that.
to to censor myself with that one because every word is a cuss word in that song, basically. So it's like, well,
Yeah,
it's
you've
fun
truly
though.
committed. I think when if Anaconda is your karaoke song, and I envy people that love karaoke and are good at it. I have a friend called Chris who is sublime at it. His song is "Fantasy" by Mariah Carey. He's
Oh,
so
that's a good
good.
one.
Yeah, it's his performance is absolutely beautiful, and you simply wouldn't necessarily expect it from meeting Chris, just in every day. Um, but yeah, maybe it's also when you're interviewing someone, somebody has opted in, and when you're live streaming, people have opted into watching, so you're not feeling like, oh, I've involuntarily ensnared someone in a conversation with me. How awful for them, and they must be trying to escape.
No,
Oh,
that's true.
sorry, this isn't therapy time.
Well, no,
um,
I like it. I like it. This is very good. We're learning a lot about ourselves.
oh no, that's the last thing I want to do. What is your obscene language policy on this show, by the way?
Oh, we can say whatever whatever you
Oh,
want.
because I've just noticed the mug I chose today
Oh my
for
gosh,
my
that is
tea.
perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
have you ever seen the British show The Great Pottery Throwdown? I
No.
believe it is shown in the US. It's one of those gentle competition shows where each week people have to do ceramic stuff and then one of them gets eliminated, and it's very wholesome because one of the judges is this guy who cries all the time just at the beauty of the ceramics, and often if someone's self-esteem is low he cries just with the yearning that they become self-actualized. So it's the most wholesome thing. Seeing a cis white man cry on television feels genuinely quite radical. And he himself is a potter, and so a friend got me one of his pieces of pottery for Christmas, which is this slut pig mug, which feels at odds with the on-screen persona. But people contain multitudes, right?
Yes, that is hilarious. If you didn't point that out and you were just drinking out of it the whole show, I don't know that I would have even noticed.
Oh, what a
That is
shame!
hilarious. No, I love it. No, because I don't know. Mine is just basic. It's just a Starbucks thing.
It's sparkly though. It looks very
Yes.
Christmassy.
It is. And I don't show the bottom half. I keep it a secret so it looks Halloween.
Ah, but you know, the bottom half is the red to green can be quite Halloweeny in a sort of blood ectoplasm
Agreed.
slime.
Oh my
Can be
gosh.
whatever you want, Taylor.
Very true. Speaking of your tour,
Oh yeah.
are there any plans for you to bring it back to LA?
I would love to. I need to get a visa, which was an expensive, difficult process, so I need to look into it.
But hopefully that'd be very fine.
That would be delightful because the audiences are so nice. LA also, the people that actually come to things, because you live in a very large city where things are far apart.
Mhm.
So people who actually go are truly valiant. And so
Very
the
true.
best of the best of audience.
When you're in the LA area, is there anything that you need to do or see that you don't have at home? Like, are there any restaurants you have to
Mm.
go to or any, I don't know, drinks that you're like, oh, only in LA?
Yes, I love to go as hard as possible on the Mexican food when there because for a long time I lived in Britain where we do not have good Mexican food, and now I live in Vancouver where we do not really have good Mexican food. There is one good tamale place,
Oh, nice.
but generally, so I've got to wait till I'm in Southern California for the good Mexican food. So there's that. I'm also partial to a cold coffee and horchata mixed together, and I don't tend to do that anywhere else. What else? My husband and I are very into Sichuan hot pot, and we do tend to go to the San Gabriel Valley or Temple
Ooh.
City.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a place that we really like in Temple City, and across the street there's this kind of statue of a teapot. It's like a
Wait,
fountain
this is
in the shape of a
crazy.
teapot. Is
This
that
is
where you live?
insane.
You live in
That's
the
where I
hot pot
grew up.
place?
I lived like a block away from there till I
Oh my
was like
God!
20.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts? For like 20 years, I lived like down the street from there.
From
And
the
that
teapot.
from the teapot, and that teapot is so controversial. Do you want to hear this
Oh,
story?
yes, I absolutely do. I'm
You didn't
sorry.
know this was gonna
No,
happen. This is
oh
this is
no.
like
Oh no.
insane. Okay. So I don't know how long ago, because I'm very bad at math. It could have been
Mhm.
5 years ago, it could have been 100, but there
Very
there
similar
used to
time spans.
yes. They took down whatever used to be there. I think it was like a theater and a barber shop. And then they were
Oh.
like, we're gonna transform Temple City and we're gonna revitalize it. So they were trying to figure out what they were gonna put there. There's a Planet Fitness there, there's the
Hmm.
hot place. And then they were like, we need some kind of like attraction. So they're like, we're gonna put a fountain. So they put that fountain, it has the illusion that it's floating because of
Yeah.
it's hard to describe if you haven't seen it, but it's basically a pot and then there's like a clear tube with the water running through and over it so it looks like it's levitating.
Yes. I
They
mean,
put
as stunt teapots go, impressive.
yes. Second only to the teapot from Beauty and the Beast.
Ah,
Mrs.
the true
Potts,
stunt
right?
teapot. I had some stunt noodles in Anaheim once that were similarly constructed where it looked like the chopsticks and noodles were levitating, but it's because some noodles were built around a kind of vertical straw.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. So they put that teapot and then everyone loved it. They thought it was so cool because of the illusion, and they thought like, wow,
Hmm.
people were taking selfies in front of it. A
I
few months
sense this
later,
story is going to get sad.
it gets very confusing. A few months later, it
Okay.
was gone, just completely gone
What?
without any explanation. But
Whoa.
since I had lived there like my whole life, I knew a lot of like people that work, in the city and stuff like that. So I just asked, I was like, what happened to that teapot? I thought maybe it broke, or I thought maybe it like malfunctioned. And I guess they got a lot of complaints about it being offensive. I don't know why, because as far as I know, it was just a plain teapot. It didn't say
Yeah.
anything on it. It didn't have any
No.
logos or branding. Um, and then people got mad that it got taken away. So a couple months later, it was put back. They took it back and forth because they kept flip-flopping over it 2 or 3 times. And as of
Wow.
today, it is there. But
It is?
there were
That
so many
is
people
bizarre.
on the who knew that a teapot fountain would be so controversial.
Of all the things that we've got to be upset about in this day and age, and that was
Yeah.
the true incendiary.
Yeah,
Wow,
that is so
sobering
crazy though that you know
stuff.
about this because whenever anyone says, "Where did you grow up?" I say LA because when I say Temple City, they think that's like some far off imaginary place. So the fact
Rude.
that you know where Temple City is, that's crazy.
Ah, well, now I feel evil for having enjoyed looking at the teapot.
No, don't because I'd be honest if I thought there was something wrong with it, but I unless there was something originally, like maybe it said something or it had something on it, but I don't
Yeah, it
think
had a
so. It's just like
swastika
a
on it.
yeah, I think it's just like a plain like clay
Yeah,
teapot. So
that's how I remember it. Next
Yeah.
time I'll have to check that the water's not pouring out in some kind of insulting way.
Oh my gosh. Just yells out
Damn.
slurs as it splashes. But I I can't believe you know about that. That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
And now
Well,
you
I
know.
recommend the hot pot place across the street. It's got a good sauce bar. It's got kind of fun theming inside, like the vegetables come in a little green truck.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I'll
It's
have to
it's
go. I know my
cute.
sister goes there a lot, so I'll check it out.
Yeah. Wow, the teapot fountain. I feel slightly devastated. But
No, don't.
public art is controversial, isn't it? The town where I'm from has has a millennium clock. I don't know if this happened. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you're old enough to remember the turn of the last century when they were commissioning a lot of shit for the millennium. But in Britain, it was the whole thing, and a lot of money was spent on things people were very sniffy about. And my town got a millennium clock that looks a bit like some melted scaffolding. And my dad had pitched for the Millennium Commission himself, and he was particularly affronted by what occurred there. I can't remember what he was going to do, but it's still there. People, I think,
Wow.
still hate it. And also, the thing about it is, it's just like it's slightly too small to be impressive, but
Mm.
it's too large to be ignored.
Oh my gosh. There's one other thing that comes to mind when we're talking about this. In Pasadena, there's a fork in the road. So there's a literal giant statue of a silver fork in the middle of the
Wow,
road. I love that whenever we drive by
iconic,
it, right?
glorious. Yeah, you know, I overall I do really love the existence of public art, even if I don't like it itself. I'm like, you've interpreted the space and given us something to think about.
Yeah, very true. So back to your tours. So who knew?
Oh,
Who knew that this is how the conversation was going to go? I'm very all here for it though. When you come up with the concepts
mm.
for your tours, what was the last one you did in LA called No Title?
Yes, that's right. That one was all about gender in language.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, how did I? I think it did genuinely all stem from the story that is at the start of that show, and it's now on the podcast feed. If you go far enough down, no title is in there. But wow, it's about the 10th anniversary of this incident happening. It was when I went into my bank to try to get the word miss taken off my bank card, because in Britain, you almost always have a title on your bank card. And my bank card said Miss H. Zaltzman. And I was like, can I have Helen Zaltzman? They were like, well, no, because if it says H and someone tries to sign a check as you and they don't know what the H stands for, then it's very easy for us to know straight away. And I was like, ugh. But eventually I was like, I've really got to get rid of this miss. And then when I went in, it just really struck me that there were very few titles that did not reflect the marital status of women. And that was the start of my gender interpretation journey, because I feel now I have unsubscribed from from my own gender, which is great. But it's ridiculous. It took this moment in the bank where this guy was just going through this huge drop down menu looking for something, like looking for Ms. And it was there were all these titles for aristocratic combinations. Easier to be a viscount or an archbishop or any of that, but just to if you hadn't qualified as one of those, or well, viscount's not really a qualification, then for men there's Mr., which doesn't tell you if someone's married or not, and women got Miss or Mrs., and that's some bullshit. And the thing is, the bank still has that, because I had to go into their online form a few months ago, and I was like, really? 10 years on, still all this shit?
Oh my gosh.
Still all the viscounts and things I've never seen anywhere else as title options. And then I started seeing that everywhere, just the demand if you're trying to get onto a free Wi-Fi service, and they're like, "Are you male or female?" And you're like, what does it matter? Do you show me a different internet with more trucks on it if I select male?
Oh my gosh. Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it stemmed from, I guess, a kind of peevishness and also a genuine befuddlement that things are the way they are, and that gendered job titles exist. And I have a lot of friends who are stand-ups, and they really hate being called comedians,
Oh.
and which I think also is a slightly different job anyway. I think, I don't know, 100-ish years ago when people were comedians, it was more like being a clown and doing kind of
Mm.
gymnastics and tumbling and things. Anyway, they're like, why not comedian? Why not comic? Those are the job that I do.
Mhm.
Men don't get asked um, why they don't want to be called comedian. Um, so yeah, and but I can't remember how it all came together. Actually, no, that's a lie. So I was like, okay, after it was the second show that we toured, and I thought about it during the first tour. I was like, the next one I want to do is this, and I'd had this Google Doc where I'd been dumping all these ideas, and then I booked in the first performance of it. And I'm really, really bad for leaving everything to the last minute, including whenever I write a live show. It's like the 36 hours
Oh
before it's due to
no.
perform. And my husband Martin does the music, and he really hates this because he's like, I need some time to compose the music. And I'm like, God, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, I know that you can do it in like 4 hours and it'll be really good, but you shouldn't have to, of course. But unfortunately, my brain is wrong. And so I remember had this performance booked for no title at SF Sketchfest, and we were staying with our friends Toby and Sarah over in Berkeley, and I just sat on their living room floor for a day and a half, just like going through this Google Doc and being like, right, just bashing this together from these thoughts that I had at some point over the last few years and dumped in there with no further explanation. Um, so yeah, it was just this horrible 36-hour kind of fugue
Oh
the
gosh.
show came out of. Was that the answer to your question? I've no idea, Taylor. Sorry.
No, but that's really interesting to know because I think I would be the exact same way if I were to ever tour, like do interviews, I don't know, on the road or something like that.
Mm,
I think I would also be doing it literally going from place to place, doing coming up with stuff because I feel like the pressure on me helps me be more creative and
mm.
also just helps me get it done. If I know I
There you
have
go.
like, oh, it's not for 6 months, it's like, well, why am I going to do it right now and then just sit here and twiddle my thumbs for, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's how
Yes.
I feel about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you don't want to be bored of it at the time when you have to appear the most interested in it. You
Mhm.
don't want to be over it.
Yeah.
I think also for me, it's like you can twiddle around a lot with draft after draft, or you can leave it so late that you just have to go straight to the final draft.
No, I
Save
agree.
yourself a trouble.
Very true.
Okay,
Also,
well,
the
that's
other thing I've
validating.
had, I've had it where I know I'm doing an interview, so I will have the questions ready, and then for whatever reason, it'll get postponed. I had one get postponed 9 months. So by the time I know, by the time I was ready to do it, I was like, well, none of these questions are really relevant anymore. So I was like, why not just wait till I know when it's exactly happening and then just
Mm.
and then get it done. But that's the kind of stuff that goes through my mind.
Yeah, it's an interesting process interviewing people, isn't it? Because I don't know about you, but so often I find we don't really get to the questions, and in a way, it's great when we don't because the questions are backup for if the chat stalls.
Mhm.
But I love hearing the interviewees say things that I had not known to even ask them about.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
exciting.
totally agree. I love when that happens. Like for example, the teapot. That would I would never have known you would have even known that Temple City existed. So I am
Oh,
very glad now that someone out there knows Temple City is a real place and that that pot also is real, depending
it
on when you
is
visit.
absolutely mind blowing to me that they took it away. But anyway, I'll process that off your audience's time. How do you deal with it when you can't really get a rapport with an interviewee?
As oh,
Like
you know what?
now.
Okay. Oh my gosh. No, I there's one when you say that that immediately comes to mind. I won't say anything,
Mm.
but he very clearly did not want to be there. And I was like, but no
You
one's forcing you to do
right.
this.
You
And
decided.
yeah, and it's like I like we did before we started. I talked for the first like 5 minutes, get to know the person. Like you can most, I would say 99.999% of the time, people very instantly open up and are very friendly and excited to talk about whatever project they're to
Mm,
promote or whatever, they have going on. And I don't know. Sometimes I wonder though, like the ones where I do through studios, because it's like a press junket, so they're doing like 30 within an hour. I wonder if maybe
uh,
that's part of it. So what
mm,
I do when it gets to that point is I'm like, well, maybe they've been asked similar questions all day because, there's only so many questions you can ask about, for example, a movie that's not out yet without spoiling stuff or without. So
right.
then I'm like, well, what if I just ask things that aren't even related to the project just to change it a little bit? And then that seems to work. But
Yeah.
I would say most of the time it's just a very easy connection. Like with us, I just feel like we very instantly got along and It's just
Yeah.
so fun speaking with you, and I'm having the best time.
Me too. I'm having a great time. I can only think of a couple of interviews that I've done in my career where it felt like pushing a boulder up a hill. And weirdly, one of them was with like a very big radio host in the UK. And I don't know what it is with her, because when we were like coming into the building and chatting, she was great. As soon as you put a mic on, so boring. I'm like, what is it about you with mics?
Weird.
Because, yeah.
I think I
Um,
understand that for people who aren't used to this, but you're saying it's someone who does do this kind of stuff. So it's like
yeah.
that's interesting.
Yes. Very baffling.
I have to tell you something that blew my mind that I didn't
Oh,
know. Okay. So for people who aren't familiar, when you have a new episode of The Illusionist
mhm.
come out, the cover art is an aerial shot of a boggleboard with the title spelled out. And
Yes.
I have always thought it was digital. And you posted the other day that you actually make these yourself with the board and with the
Yep.
cubes, and
Hmm.
that blew my mind because
Wow.
that's a lot of effort and a lot of attention to detail.
I feel like digitally producing them would be more effort, especially because I don't know how to do it. It is a bit of an effort that whenever I travel, I have to travel with a boggle board, which is small, but also with two sets of boggle letters because the set that I like to use only has one cube with B on it, even though it has multiple W's, whereas words with double B in are quite common, double W less so. And also, the B cube is the only cube, I think, with an F. So often you have to break out a second set, which I like less because the letters don't match. And then a few numerical dice as well, just in case. Which one tipped you off to this
I didn't know until you posted on Instagram about it
funny? Oh, that was
that you
because
did
I
it.
had to render the numbers 199.
Yeah, I had no clue. So that's very cool to know. And now for people who don't know, now you know. You know,
Now you know, yeah. There was someone who, very, very early on in the show's lifespan, tweeted me to say he would not be listening because one of the S's was upside down in the show's logo. And then he blocked me.
oh my gosh,
And I thought,
crazy.
if you're that sensitive, then probably for the best that the upside down S would repel you.
Yeah. That reminds me, I have it's like a little marquee, and it lights up and it has some letters, and you can write like happy birthday on it, or, well,
Oh, those
actually,
are fun.
you cannot write happy birthday. And I don't remember what letter it doesn't have enough of. So right now I'm looking at it because we haven't updated it since David's birthday in January, and it says happy sun rotation because you
Oh,
don't have enough of whatever letter it is that's missing to spell out the words happy birthday. Isn't that bizarre?
maybe they don't have two Y's. You could write happy birth,
That's
David.
probably, there we go. It's probably a Y.
Yeah, but you couldn't have happy birthday.
Yeah, it's
It's
weird.
cruel.
And then for Halloween, I just have it say boo bitch. So
Well, at least you got two B's.
yes, two B's and two O's.
Can you obtain a second set of letters?
I think they probably by now. So because when I first got this, I think it was just what came in the box. But I think by now,
Hmm.
because they're kind of more popular now, probably get more letters.
You would hope. That's a
Yeah.
real oversight because happy birthday must be a very common thing for people to want to put on there.
Yeah, that's like what I got it for, I think, was to put that on the table and have it say happy birthday. And I was like, what? Very odd, but it does make it kind of more like creatively fun to find words
Yes.
to say what you're trying to say without the letters that you need.
Yeah. Sometimes I do have to adjust the title plan I have for the episodes depending on whether I think I can render it in the boggle board.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of, you just reached a milestone of 200 episodes. That is
Yeah.
crazy. How does that feel?
It feels, well, I keep thinking, well, Answer Me This had 400, so there's a way to go. It's also the show's, The Illusionist's 10th anniversary coming up in January, and that feels like a long and a short time. I've been podcasting for nearly 18 years, and so I feel incredibly ancient in terms of podcasters, because in the last less than 4 years, so many people have arrived and they act like it has no history at all. And I don't want to be like angry old granddad with a rake being like, "Lad, you don't understand. I've got all these war stories." But I just want them to know that it didn't appear the moment that they became interested in it. Like we were doing stuff that's led to things, led to other things, building something. I think with the Illusionist reaching 200, it's strange because I'm always like, am I about to run out of ideas? It's not that there's a lack of ideas because language is so huge. There's infinity things to talk about with it. It's just whether my brain is emptied. If the barrel is fully scraped and there's not even splinters there, that's the fear.
Yeah, no, I worry about that with interviews too, but it's like, but there are like a million people to interview. So it's like, well, more than that, but it's like, how could I run out? You know what I mean? And there's every day
Yes,
there's like new projects being released. So
yeah,
I
I
think I
think
understand.
yeah, right. Because even so, you've still got to find a way to keep yourself feeling interested in it and fresh, and not like you're just mechanically doing something that feels familiar.
Mhm. Yeah, very true. You know, another podcast, I don't know if you're familiar, but another one that just celebrated its 10th anniversary is Criminal with Phoebe Judge. Do you
Oh
listen to that one?
yes. I haven't listened to any podcast for a while, but I used to be in a network with Criminal, and I used to listen to every episode. And also, I remember listening to the very first Criminal, early 2014, when I was doing the dishes, and I was like, "Oh, this show's good." Yeah, they it's incredibly high standard their output, and they just pump out a lot of really good podcasts. I'm like, how the hell do they do it?
Yeah, and
Absolute work machines.
those stories are so interesting. Like the episode, I don't know if you heard it, but the La Brea Tar Pits episode.
Oh yeah, and I'm fond of the La Brea tar pits because what a weird tourist attraction.
Yeah, it's bizarre, almost as bizarre as a teapot on the corner of Las Tunas.
Especially if the teapot was pouring tar out of its spout, then you've got the ultimate LA attraction.
I think we just solved it. That must have been
Yeah.
what was offensive about it.
Ah,
Here we go. Who knew that
yeah.
this would have all connected?
Yeah, just kept getting dire wolves stuck in the stream. It's just all these like dying wolves.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, to celebrate the 200th episode of The Illusionist, you released an episode that was a quiz, and the
Hmm.
questions were submitted by your listeners. And your mind's gonna be blown when you hear what my score was.
Tell me.
If you had to guess,
Uh-huh. I'm gonna guess 400.
okay, subtract 397. I got 3 points, and one of them was a guess.
That most of my answers were guesses. I wanted to do the quiz because usually I'd be setting the questions and I wanted to do them. But the thing is, because I didn't set the questions, there's not a format that the listeners adhered to when submitting them. So one was just cast into a sea of unknowing. And so I tried to add a little guidance so that if you were playing along at home, it narrowed things down a bit. And it wasn't just, do you happen to know every species of moth or don't you? So yeah, I think because I think I got more right because I was trying to add more information for people playing at home, and I probably would have got like zero, maybe if I hadn't been spending like days examining these questions.
Yeah, it was a very fun quiz and a very fun
Oh, good.
episode. I think if I hadn't just, I was on my way home from a winery when
Oh, you were
when I was playing.
compromised.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
feel like if I wasn't, I would have gotten at least 4 points.
Yes. And honestly, it's not about the winning. It's about the taking part or just passively listening because podcasts allow you to do that.
Yes, very true. I don't know what my boyfriend scored because he didn't tell me. He kept it a secret. So
Oh, naught or a million, then.
yeah, I think he didn't want to embarrass me with his high score. Uh,
I guess you got to play together and then you both benefit.
yeah, that's true. So for people who are not familiar with The Illusionist
Hmm.
and they see that you have 200 episodes, what are some that you would recommend if someone's like, hey, I'm just starting out, where should I start?
Yeah, good question. I think it depends on what people are in the mood for, because there's somewhere if you want something that is like very linguisticy, and I am just going to look at my own spreadsheet because I cannot remember what has been on the show as soon as it has left my brain. There's somewhere like if you want to feel feelings, I would send you to those. Like Eclipse is one that people really respond to, which is with someone who is. I interviewed her in Altadena actually, and it's about how she was doing karaoke. Karaoke is very dangerous, and midway through Total Eclipse of the Heart, she had a brain aneurysm and woke up in hospital with only 30 or 40 words. And it's about how she felt, because she felt amazing not being able to think in words. And it's also about how she rebuilt her vocabulary and kind of returned to the wordsy world. And and so that's very cool. There's an episode about the name Fiona, actually two episodes that I did in late 2022, and it's so fascinating. The name, it's so complex, and it kind of has everything. It has like some very strange, complex modern history, and just a lot of feelings, some gender mysteries, and the person I interviewed, Harry Josephine Giles, who's a Scottish poet and performer, is just wonderful to listen to. So I go for those, and then if you want something that's very kind of wordsy, I would go for maybe maybe the eggs warning, which is an interview with a guy who spent years studying the warning message that comes in a Kinder Surprise egg, which you don't even have in the US because they're illegal there. You have a variant because you can't sell something which is chocolate on the outside with an inedible thing inside, which Kinder Egg has. But everywhere else you can, but it has this warning message in like 38 languages, and this guy studied it and wrote a whole book about it.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's intense. And there's one about zillions, so words like zillions and squillions. Was it imaginary hyperbolic numerals? Is the name, and people were very into that. I think because they're very familiar words, but they hadn't necessarily consciously thought about them. And there's one also called apples, which is about how they name new varietals of apple, and it's just
That's fun.
surprisingly funny.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
yeah, those are really good ones. I remember the Eclipse one. That one was really, really interesting to me. And I have to look into the Apple one. The Kinder Egg is so interesting that you bring that up because that brings back so many childhood memories. Because I used to love those. When I was a kid, we were allowed to have those.
Oh, I wonder when they banned them.
I,
Because it's
I
now
don't
like
know.
$2,000 fine or something, I think, if you try to import them to the US.
Wow, that's crazy. Because yeah, I remember, and now they sell them, but inside it's it's a chocolate egg, and then it's like a milk chocolate surprise inside. So it like
Oh,
is
okay.
different enough, but it's like that's pretty lame.
Because I thought what you got there was like you got a thing where it was chocolate on one side, the plastic toy on the other, kept
Oh,
safely apart. I
that's
think
interesting.
maybe
Maybe
that.
they do that
But I
too.
but I
But yeah,
haven't bought one in the US.
I'll have to look. There's a store I like called World Market. I don't know if you have those where you
Oh,
live.
yeah, no, we don't. I don't think so.
Ooh,
I'm
it's
not sure I've been to
nice.
one in the US either, which is odd because I've been to a lot of intriguing US places, as we've
I think
heard.
you would love it. It's called World Market. They sell like a lot of furniture and a lot of like, I don't know, like cute knickknacks and like
Mm.
stuff you wouldn't find other places. Right now I've been getting their Halloween wine collection because they have like
Wow.
Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, but the labels glow in the dark.
Oh.
They're so
Oh.
cool. So whenever I tell my friends about them, the next time I go to their house, I see they also have them in their kitchen. So I think I
Adorable.
deserve some like royalties from this. I've been
Yeah.
getting people to buy them. But World Market, yeah, I think you would like it. And I think that's where I used to get the Kinder eggs. So I have to go and check because now I'm
Yeah,
curious.
because if they are running some kind of Kinder Egg importation business, then they're really endangering themselves legally.
Oh, I was gonna say I
What
want in on that, but yes, they're endangering
you're
themselves.
gonna have to cross the border if you ever come to visit me in Canada. I think we have them here. They're like we trust you to recognize that you're not supposed to eat the plastic thing.
Oh my gosh.
Or maybe it's just in the US, people know not to eat the plastic thing, but they know that they also have the ability to do a lawsuit about it being something they could eat.
Hmm.
And therefore it's just easier not to allow you to have them. How is the Bride of Frankenstein wine? Have you drunk it?
Oh my gosh. I think I've had two bottles so far, and
Does it
it's very
taste
good.
Frankenstein-y?
No, I wish, but it's really good. I would say there's three characters I think that they have: Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and Dracula. And I think my favorite's Frankenstein.
Hmm.
They're in the kitchen. Do you want me to go grab one really quick so I can show
I'd
you?
love to see.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Awesome. Nothing came unplugged.
No, all seems intact. The skulls didn't start
Oh my gosh.
advancing in your absence.
Could you imagine? I leave and everything just starts turning its heads and spiraling out of control.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I've got this
Oh,
eel.
that's awesome. Well, I made it back and I brought the bottles of wine. They are empty. But here's
Oh,
Frankenstein. It's 19 crimes. I'm sure they sell it other places other than World Market, but it's so cool. And then my friend Kirk Thatcher, he and I did an episode of my favorite horror movie, the other show that I do on my channel, and his favorite horror movie is Bride of Frankenstein. So I was showing him the bottle, and he knew
oh,
about it, and he was like, "Oh, if you scan the QR code on the bottle with your phone, the character comes to life." So I didn't know
what?
that. On the back of it, there's a QR code, and you scan it, and it like digitally comes to life on your phone, and I think it makes sound
Wow.
effects. It's so cool. And who knew? Who knew that like these bottles would do this? It's so cool.
That is adorable.
I love it. I need to get more
You do. You
because
do.
they're just so
They need to
fun.
make more characters.
Yeah, they like the mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon. There's so many they could do.
So many, lots of options.
I guess we could go to this part since we're kind of heading that way.
All right.
We're getting closer and closer to Halloween, and if you couldn't tell, it's my favorite holiday. I was wondering what some of your horror movie recommendations would be. If someone was putting together their list of movies to watch for Halloween season, and they're like, Helen, what movies should I watch for Halloween? What would you tell them to watch?
Oh, wow, what a great question. The thing is, I'm such a wimp now. I used to be able to watch like anything when I was growing up and just be completely inured to it. And then as an adult, I'm so bad at tension that even farcical things are a bit much. So what have I watched that is horror-y? I guess I will do things that are more like kind of murder mysteries, which
Hmm.
is more like a real horror if you think about it in real life. Like murder is not fun and cute at all. Um, but let me see. I also have such trouble remembering things that I have to go to a spreadsheet to look at what the hell have I watched? God, what a disappointment. I'm so sorry. I feel like I should have a
No,
really
don't
good
be, don't
answer,
be.
but
While you're looking, I'll tell you about Letterboxd. You know about Letterboxd?
I do, yes. I don't
Oh,
use
okay,
it, but
good.
I know about it.
Oh, I love it. I don't rank or rate any movies on there. I just mark them off as watched because I like having the collection there. So it's very cool.
Oh, I just thought of something. A couple of years ago, my husband and I watched Shiva Baby.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've seen it. And
Mm-mm.
after it's about someone going to a Shiva, which is like the Jewish sort of 7 days after someone's died. There's a Shiva where family and friends go and kind of hang out and eat and talk about the person. And this one is about this young woman going to one of those, and there's a lot of like overbearing family dynamics and other complications. And after it, Martin was like, "No more Jewish horror."
Oh my gosh.
But it would also, I saw the film Bottoms last year, and I really loved
Oh,
it. And
that's a good one.
it's very violent, which is why I think it qualifies for Halloween.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I think any occasion's a good occasion for Bottoms, but Halloween, why not? There's blood splatter.
Yep, yep. You mentioned liking murder mysteries. Do you like the Scream franchise?
I do actually. Well, actually, I haven't watched. So bad. I haven't watched one for a really long time, but I loved the original ones when I was growing up. They kind of got me at exactly the right age. Oh, Happy Death Day.
Oh,
That's
so
a
fun.
that's a good Halloween one as well.
Hmm.
Um, that is a quality film.
Yeah, I love it. I hope we get a third one because I feel like the way they set up the ending of the second one, we need one more.
They got to, right?
Yeah, I really
Come
hope
on.
so.
Yeah, and she's so good in it. I think also What We Do in the Shadows, the original
Oh my
film. If like me,
gosh,
you're a bit pathetic about fear, it's very cute, and I
I
like the fact
love
that it's
it.
kind of playing with the vampire mythos in such a fun way.
Yeah, and the show is like one of the best shows ever.
It's
I'm
wonderful.
obsessed. I can't wait. The new season comes out. Oh, actually, now, like this month, because it's October now. I think it comes out this month. And
Great news!
I got approved for press passes to cover LA Comic Con, which is this weekend.
Wow,
I know it's like right around the corner. And the entire cast, I think, is going to be there of What We Do in the Shadows. So I have to prep for that because I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I get to do at least like one interview with them. That'd be so
that would
fun.
be that would be delightful. They seem truly like adorable people.
Yeah, and they just seem to be having like the best time making that show.
It looks really, really fun. Well, all the night shoots probably aren't fun.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
probably quite cold shooting in Toronto in the night in winter, but yeah, what a dream. Also, like what cool sets, what cool costumes, and just I love how you see the feelings develop over the seasons and like all the things Guillermo gets to do.
Oh, I love
Ah,
him. So
so
good.
good. Ah, wonderful. Yeah, watch What We Do in the Shadows any time of year, but this will be
Yeah,
the time of year.
no,
Trees.
agreed. And then since we're talking about Halloween, do you have a favorite Halloween costume that you've ever dressed up as?
I'm re I'm really bad at costumes, and that's a shame because I love to sew and I love to think of ways around a thing, and I would love to make costumes for other people. I used to do that for people's comedy shows and things, like make them props and costumes. But for myself, I think I'm really bad at interpreting myself to present to others. Also, Halloween wasn't really a thing when I was growing up in Britain. It just like we knew about it, but it didn't really happen there. And then it kind of kicked in maybe 15 years ago, but as an adult drinking festival, and I don't drink, and but there would just be people for 2 weeks before just lurching around London wearing like onesies. Um, and, and I was like, oh, this is a bit objectionable. But now I'm quite into it as something that is just fun and sweet. And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that because I was living in this apartment building in London at the time, and there were four apartments on my floor, and one of my neighbours, Mary, would always put in a load of effort to make it very delightful for the kids,
Oh,
and she would make these like Halloween bags and put out all this stuff, and I was like, well, I gotta do something if they're coming up to our floor, and but I also didn't want to have to answer the door, so we had this like hanging plant outside, a neon pothos which has like bright green leaves hanging down, and so I sort of draped this translucent white fabric over it and put like a green light under it so it was sort of glowing, and made the fronds of plant look like hands that were holding onto this bowl of candy, and and that felt good, but it also felt like an amount of Halloweening that I could do because I didn't have to be like, hey, look at me.
oh, that's fun.
Sorry, it's not fun. I just feel like I'm a real Halloween pooper, but
No, 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 no. I think any amount is a good amount. And then there's always next year. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. So
stepping it up.
now that we live in a new place and it'll be our first Halloween in Vancouver.
Oh,
Um, yeah, because last year we lived here, but we were over in Richmond, Virginia, and
nice.
we were staying with a friend who goes really hard. Like he had a fake graveyard and a smoke machine outside his house, and I was like, the graveyard's feeling a little too real.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I don't know what the vibe will be like in Vancouver, but my husband wants to do some stuff, and he's very into bats, so I've been steering him in a bat
mm,
direction.
nice. You guys should give out Kinder eggs since you're allowed to.
I guess I don't want to. I don't want to miscalculate and cause all these
Oh,
children to
no, could
die
you
by
imagine?
eating a toy. It's
Uh,
the primary cause of death amongst Europeans.
oh man, Kinder eggs. Who knew? Who
Da-
knew?
danger lurks. That's the
Yeah.
true horror of Halloween.
Someone should make a Kinder egg horror movie.
Maybe they have because they're always trying to sell like corporate products as IP for
Hmm.
movies now. So actually, you should pitch that. I
All
think
right.
that's a very good idea because the toys could come to life, start borrowing out the Kinder eggs, and get ready
Oh
for
my
revenge.
gosh.
Do you have your Halloween costume planned? Do you have
Oh
multiple
man.
outfits?
Okay, so I haven't dressed up since 2019, right?
Uh-huh.
Because then in 2020 there was no point. And then I just
Oh,
never got back into it. And in 2019, my boyfriend and I were Bert and Ernie.
oh,
And
lovely.
it was easy because I don't like wearing like makeup or masks
Yeah,
because then you can't do anything all night. You have a mask over your face. And so it's hard. And then also when you're in photos, no one knows it's you. You know what I mean? So we got like these things they slip on. It's kind of like a shirt. Actually, I could see if I could find a picture of it. And
very nice.
he doesn't like dressing up, but I like tricked him into it by buying it and saying, please.
Yeah, you can't be just Ernie. It's got to be Bert and Ernie.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna show you, but I don't know why it's doing it like this. It's like showing a bunch of things on my phone. But there we are as Bert and Ernie.
Aww.
And then there's June. She was a bumblebee.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have a wardrobe for June?
Oh my gosh. She has been popcorn because that's her favorite thing in the whole world. I don't know how she
Nice
knows, even
choice.
if she's like in bed, she knows the sound of the popcorn bag. And anytime we touch the microwave, she thinks there's a possibility there will be popcorn. So she gets very
What an
excited for that.
optimist.
But she's little and she's long, so I want her to be like a hot dog, or I want her to be,
Hmm.
I don't know, something funny. But she doesn't like wearing clothes, and I think she feels like she's in
Right.
trouble when she has like a
Oh,
costume on. So we put it on for like 30 seconds, take the pictures, and then she's free again.
yeah. Is it more like an escape room for June where you put it on her and she's like, "How do I get out of this thing?"
Yeah, she doesn't really like them, but it's just so cute for that photo.
Yeah, we were never allowed to put clothes on our dogs. They didn't even have like coats when it was cold in winter. I think the idea was they had supplied that for themselves.
Yeah, we tried getting her like a really nice knitted sweater for Christmas, like for our Christmas card photo. And within 30
Oh,
seconds of putting it on her, she'd taken it off. So I just,
damn.
no.
Because it does get cold there, and if
Yeah, it
she's got a
does.
tiny little body, she might
Yeah.
need the extra insulation.
Oh my gosh. Well, Helen, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to speak with me. And we covered so much stuff that who knew we would talk about. And it's just so fun. And I feel like we have all these connections now that we didn't know that we
Yeah.
had.
And,
Where
and
can
and next time I'm down there, we can go for hot pot in Temple
Oh my
City.
God, I would love to. That would be so fun. And we'll take a picture regardless of if it's there or not, the teapot. So if it's there, it's in the picture. If it's not there, people are going to be like, well, why did you take it there of all
Yeah.
places?
Yeah. If not, it's just an ordinary street corner
Yeah.
with
But we'll know.
memories.
We'll
Yeah,
know.
the ghost of it will be there, faintly visible in the photo. Did you get to ask all of your 12 questions?
I did. I did. It was very
Okay,
fun.
you did it very subtly.
Thank you. Uh, where can people keep up with you and follow
Mm.
you and keep up with like your upcoming shows and episodes?
Well, there's theallusionist.org, which is the home of the podcast, and that also has links to the socials. And then I am Helen Zaltzman on the other ones, and so then you get into the fun stuff of people don't know how to spell my last name because often Z is a confounding letter for people. But it's in there, I promise. There's two of them in there.
Perfect,
Watch out.
perfect. And then I was wondering if we could end this interview with a word of the day because this is something I love that you do on your show.
Oh, you bet. I picked a dictionary of difficult words for you, Taylor,
Thank you, thank you.
because the other day I was reading from it and I was like, this is a surprisingly great dictionary. I've had it for so many years. It was given to someone called Vicky for Christmas in 1979.
Oh, wow.
Um, uh, okay, let's have a look. Your randomly selected word, Taylor, is mournival, noun, set of four.
Oh, nice. All right.
Try using it in an email today.
Oh, I have a lot of emails to get back to. I'm gonna see if I can sneak it in somehow.
I have never, ever encountered that word.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one though. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not offensive in this day and age, so that's nice because
Yeah,
you do not know what is lurking within these pages.
yeah, you
Wow,
never know.
pseudochronism, an error in date. Wow, I mean, it's a lot of fun you can get leafing through these, but
Yeah.
don't want to take up all your day.
Oh, very well. Honestly, I could do this all day. Getting to speak with you is just so fun, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and I cannot wait for the next 200 episodes of The Illusionist.
Ah, thank you. Well, it's been such a delight to get to be on your show, and happy Halloween
Happy
or
Halloween.
adjective Halloween.
Oh, can't wait. We're almost there. 30 days.
30 Halloweeny days.
Yes.
It begins. The season is here. It's your time.
Yes. Bye, Helen.
Bye, Taylor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.